We back, baby, for another special episode of Frankie the Yankee Show. And let me remind everybody, all right, not just my panel, but everybody watching. Yes, this is Frankie the Yankee Show, but this is my baseball show, and we're gonna talk baseball because the 2024 MLB regular season has started. We are finally a week in to the regular season, and we're gonna hype it up real quick. But first, let me get my panel introduced. My boy, Jay McLovin. How you doing, Jay?
Man, I'm doing well. Man. No complaints, man. I'm glad we're talking some baseball. As you know, the season got off to a rocky start for us, got off to a great start for you. Dustin, I can't for the life of me remember who your team is. The Cubs.
He's a Cubby.
Yeah, he's a Cubby. So I think he's doing okay. So I think we're all doing okay. But, man, what the hell's going on with Anaheim? How the hell is Anaheim in second? We got to rectify that quick, Frankie.
And our other guy, as we said just a minute ago, he is a Chicago Cubby fan. My boy, Stat Guy. What's going on, Stat Guy?
Jay, welcome to the winner's circle. How does it feel?
Well, it feels pretty good. I mean, I've got World Series rings already, but it feels pretty good.
Well, let's get it started, y'all. As you can see, before we get started, go ahead, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that share, anything you can on all social media platforms: X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. You search it, and you'll find it. Let's get it started, Jay. We're gonna start with your team, the Houston Astros. And as you said a minute ago, it's not a hot start to the season that you predicted to have. I mean, you still got your players that you had last year. You missed some players because some ended up leaving free agency and signing elsewhere. But the biggest thing that you guys had gotten this year was a new manager. Tell me, brother. And I already know, because we faced each other in a 4-game series to start the season off, and by God, it ended in my favor the best way it could have. But I want to get your reaction to it because, like I said, we were a weekend and we haven't talked baseball yet. Tell me, brother, the new manager, are you hype on him yet?
No, obviously not. I'm even kill. I'm giving him. I'm just waiting to see what he really does. I mean, it's hard to get hyped up on somebody on 6 games, right? 6 games just isn't a big enough sample size to get hyped up on, right? Because I don't know how is he going to handle. I will. The one thing I like about him is the fact we went and played you guys and we got swept by you guys, and then we go and play.
Say it again for me. What happened?
And then we play. We played the Blue Jays, and we take 2 out of 3 with those guys. One was a no-hitter, the other one was a 1-hitter. And I saw the fight in these guys. I saw the ability that they're able to fight and do things. Justin Verlander is now up for rehab assignments, so he'll be back pretty soon. I think this is it's a team that's getting used to a new manager, a new way of doing things. But I really think that this guy is going to work out. I don't think he's going to be a bad manager. He's had a lot of time underneath Dusty Baker, and he is part of a championship team. Frankie, let me ask you a question: is your managers, any one of them, part of a championship team at the management level, not the player level, at the management level?
I was going to say he actually
no, I know you were telling me.
Not as a manager level. That's
what I'm talking about. Right now, we're just talking managers. We're not talking players. But at the management level, I mean, this guy has won a ring, so he knows what what being a winner looks like. He knows what it looks like. He's around players that know what it looks like. So I don't expect it to change a whole lot. I did like the fact. I like how he lets the pitchers kind of work their way out of things, whereas Dust has been so quick to pull the trigger. This guy actually lets you pitch your way out of things. So I like that. So we got a lot of good pieces coming back on that mound. So it's going to be interesting to see how we go forward. I really think that Yankees series was a good series for us because it woke us up. It said, hey, look, preseason's over, next over. This is the real deal. Let's get it going. And I like the fact how he was able to get us back on track and get us back on the winning plateau. And we actually won the next series. Now, for me, what that means now is, okay, even when we got swept, we weren't getting blown out. We came back. We made it. It was competitive games all the way through. So I'm going to give him that one too as well. But it's a long series. Frankie, you know. Well, yeah, I know. But Frankie, you know it's a long season, and you know everything can happen in 160 some odd games. Injuries, you know, you just never know. So definitely. I'm gonna keep myself regulated, but I do think that we're on. I feel better this time this year in the season at the beginning of it than I did last year, and so that's a step up.
Do you want to know my take on it? Is the reason why I feel great about it is because we started off in a 4-game series. Okay, yeah. We have another series coming up pretty soon in May, which is really odd because we're seeing each other really early in the season rather than seeing each other late in the season where it could be potential playoff scenarios. But in the start of the season, it already locked in a playoff scenario in our favor because the next time we face each other is a 3-game set. So we will.
It's going to be in your favor. But
even if we were to get swept by you guys come October, if we end up with the same regular season record or whatever, we end up getting the tiebreaker head to head. So I mean,
and again, but Frankie, here's what you don't understand. Well, you do understand. You're just because you're riding the high of Yankee. Oh my God, we can have a better record. We can be this. We can be that, and that's great. Trust me, it's all great. But from what I know about my team, and I'm just speaking about my team, what I know about the Astros personally, after what I saw last year and what I've seen at the beginning of this year, I'd rather be the away team going through this than the home team. So I'm okay with it. I don't give a damn if you do beat us and take this series. That's fine. As long as I'm in the playoffs and I'm playing most of my games away, I got a better chance of making the World Series going that route than if I was at the top of the echelon like what we were last year, you know, and then going that route. So it doesn't bother me to be underneath you. I mean, and Frankie, I think you know, as what you saw last year, I think you can kind of understand where I'm coming from with that.
Right, but what I like is that this.
You just like being on top. You just like being on top.
Not just that, Jay. No. Listen, of course I like being on top. Obviously, I love being on top. But listen, what I'm looking at is when we were on top 2 years ago in the year 2022, when we were on fire to start the season, and then after the All-Star break, we had that horrible August, and then it ended up being like a dog race towards the end, and we ended up still getting it. But what I like about it now, Jay, compared to that time, we have a way better lineup this year than we did in 2022, adding the addition of both Alex Verdugo and my boy Juan Soto. Listen, lineup is going to do damage. And the way Carlos Rodon, his last 2 games, starting for the Yankees, he actually pitched really well for the Yankees these last 2 games, both against the Astros and the Diamondbacks. So I kind of like what Carlos Rodon is doing. But like you said, it's a long season. This man's got to pitch like 30 games or something this year. We'll see how the year goes on. Nestor Cortez is the biggest question mark for me. That is the biggest question.
Let me ask you a question real quick about Carlos. Back up real quick. You brought up Carlos Rodon. Let me just ask you a question. I watched. That was in Game 1. Carlos Rodon pitched Game 1 against us.
No, he pitched Game 2.
Was it Game 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, because Cortez I think had Game 1, correct?
Yeah, he gave up 4 runs on you guys.
Either way, when I was watching a game with Carlos Rodon, and I was looking at his uniform and I think this is probably about the 5th inning. That dude looked like he just stepped out of a bar and was ready to go to bed. I don't know if you noticed that, but that dude, his uniform was sloppy looking. You could see all the sweat all over it. His shirt was halfway unbuttoned. Looked like that dude just stepped off the train and was getting ready to go score another Mickey or something.
What do you expect from him, Jay? He's a big dude playing in Houston. It's hot down there. It is hot. We got some MLB breaking news since we're here talking MLB. Miami Marlins pitcher Yuri Perez is out for the season, undergoing Tommy John surgery. We're
Oh
only 1 week
wow,
into the season. He pitched at least
wow,
probably 2 games, and now he's
man.
out for the year with Tommy John surgery. Dustin, you know about young pitchers. Does this work in the favor of Miami? Obviously, for the future, we know how pitchers return with Tommy John. They end up, coming back looking better than ever. But does this hurt big for Miami right now?
Well, yeah, it's because Miami's been one of the worst teams in baseball for the first 2 weeks. They've been absolutely awful, and they were a team that was right
In
in
the
the thick of the
playoffs?
playoffs until the final week last year. So losing him this year, now you're counting on Jesus Luzardo, who actually pitched extremely well last year. You still have Sandy Alcantara, but he took a step back last year, so you don't know what you're going to get out of Sandy Alcantara. And then they have Edwin Cabrera. Yuri Perez was supposed to be that fourth guy to make that rotation, possibly one of the more surprising rotations in baseball this year. But with him out of the equation, the Marlins are basically down 2 spots at this point. And knowing how small market teams work, they could be more than 2 spots down before the season's over. Because if they continue to struggle, guys like Sandy Alcantara and Jesus Luzardo are going to be moved.
Right.
But in terms of
And
him
what's
returning, he's what, 22, maybe 23.
yeah.
Tommy John
And what
surgeries aren't what they used to be anymore. They're
right.
like a torn ACL now, where
Okay, keep driving. I honestly, to me, I think this is an absolute this is gonna screw everything up for Miami, Jay. This is
Yeah,
honestly gonna screw everything up for Miami.
yeah,
And if I'm correct, a lot of teams in the offseason during winter break, before spring training, probably even during spring training, a lot of teams was looking at Miami and making trade offers for this young star pitcher.
yep,
And clearly, it worked in the favor of every team that was trying to get him because they didn't get him, and now he's out
yeah,
for Tommy John.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's man. When you get down with Tommy John on the second day, I mean, for that tells me he had issues before. That when he was in spring training, he was his arm had issues, and by the time he got to the regular season, it was just done and gave out on him.
Well, I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad Garrett Cole didn't have to get Tommy John surgery. So
Hey, but you never
that's
know
why
though.
you gotta.
With them elbows, hey, just because he recovered doesn't mean, and I don't have any wood to knock on, so I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know where I'm going with this.
Don't even say it.
I'm not going to say it. I
But
just said I'm not
but
going to
see,
say it.
but the difference between Garrett Cole and Yuri Perez is Garrett Cole knew when he was pitching that second game in spring training, he knew something was up with his arm. Like he knew right away, and he told Aaron Boone, he told everybody else in the dugout, listen, get me out. Like my arm's not feeling good. And then more news came out, and he ended up going to California to looking at a specialist that he obviously goes to. It's his
Well,
one
yeah,
specialist that
absolutely.
he goes to, and he gets the good news because he didn't ruin it more, because if he would have stood in that game, I feel like he would have ruined his elbow more to where he would have probably had Tommy John, compared to Euron Perez, where he's like, I'm young, my arm feels, it hurts in spring training, but I know during regular season, once it comes around, it's going to be fine because I'm young. No, when you feel that your arm is not feeling the way it should feel, get yourself out of the game. Worry about your health. Worry about yourself, because now look at you. You go 2 games into the regular season. Now you got to get Tommy John surgery. And Tommy John surgery is not just a full year length of healing process and stuff. That's like a year and a half, possibly 2 years, Jay.
Yeah.
Tommy John is a
Yeah,
serious injury.
because Luis Garcia last year at the beginning of the season, you know that he had to have Tommy John because he jacked up his elbow, and so he missed all of last year. I'm assuming he's going to miss all of this year, and we won't see Luis Garcia until the beginning of 2025. So yeah, it's rough, and that was the same thing with Verlander. I think Verlander was out a year and a half, maybe almost 2
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
So yeah, you lose a lot of time with Tommy John.
you really
But
do.
there have been a lot of people that have said that once you had that hot Tommy John, that you can come back and be even better pitching than were before you had it. So We'll see what Tommy John does for Luis Garcia, and we'll see what it does for Miley.
Stag, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I mean, let me ask you, man. Your Chicago Cubbies just came off a series win against the Colorado Rockies. They didn't have a series win in the first go around. I forgot who you guys ended up facing to start the season. But after the getting your Colorado victory series win, how do you look at the Chicago Cubs moving forward? Because I know the next game you guys got to face, I think it's a 4-game series against this red hot Los Angeles Dodgers Shohei Ohtani team.
I mean, yeah, right now we're 4-2. The opening series because
Oh my God!
we very easily we lost.
Right.
3. So that's sitting at 4 where I think.
Hey, Dustin. Hey, you're we're only getting about maybe every other letter. You might want to log out and log back in and see if that fixes your connection. I know you're driving, so that might be even more of an issue.
Can you hear me fine right now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine now. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they're 4-2. They could easily be 5-1. They could easily be 3-3. I had them at 4-2 at this point, so they're pretty much where I thought they would be. But the team looks good. I mean, they play with a much more relaxed energy than what they had under David Ross, and they play, I think, a lot more determined than what they had with David Ross. David Ross, as good as a person as he was, I don't think he knew really how to manage a baseball team.
Right.
Because there was a lot of questionable decisions that he's made over the last couple of years that has single-handedly cost his team ball games. Now you're bringing in a guy in Craig Counsell who, say what you will about the Milwaukee Brewers, he was still their manager for 10 years. He still got him to the playoffs 7 of the 10 times, and more often than not, the teams that he took to the playoffs did not have the same level of talent that the Cubs do right now. So that, to me, I think was the biggest offseason move the Cubs made, more so than getting Imanaga, more so than getting Bellinger back. It was getting a guy in Craig Counsell that actually knows how to win ball games and kind of knows what to manage with what he has. And this weekend is going to be a huge test. They have off today because it's a travel day for the Dodgers to get to Chicago. So they have an off day today. And then they get the Dodgers, but then they also go out west for a 10-game series against the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Seattle after this. So the next 13 games is really going to be a test for Chicago. I know you can't win a division in April, but you can certainly lose a division in April if you play poorly. So if they can even be 6-7 or even 5-8 after their next 13 games and basically be 500 after that, being 9-9 through 18 games, I'd be perfectly fine with that because we don't play a division game until May.
Look at this jokester down here. He said the Minnesota Twins are winning the World Series this year. Sorry, boys. Let's take a minute to just laugh at him. Ah! I mean, you got a chance to make it to the playoffs. You want to know why? Because your team is on the wackest and cheapest and shittiest division in all of baseball. I'm sorry to say.
Hold on a bit. AJ, don't let Frankie. I gotta apologize. I gotta apologize for Frankie. Don't let Frankie's words get you down. If you think those Twins are gonna win the World Series, well, damn it, they're gonna win the World Series. But until then,
when you say that, all I can do is laugh. It's just like it's like saying the Charlotte Hornets are gonna win the.
Listen, we can't. You can't be picking on AJ. Leave AJ alone. If that man thinks those Twins are gonna do it, well, Carlos Correa is gonna get them all the way. Okay.
Jay, are you
way,
listening?
Right?
Jay, are you listening to yourself right now? That's like saying the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl next year.
I don't know what that feels like because I don't say that shit anymore. I'm a realistic person.
God. He said, I love the Twins secretly. I hate the Twins, bro. I hate the Twins. And you know why I hate the Twins.
No, you don't hate the Twins. You don't hate the Twins in the playoffs, though, because you sweep them every year.
Exactly.
So that's when you like the Twins.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little hidden story about Frankie, if you don't mind. The man lives in New York. He got a team in New England. He
He
got
knows
a
my
team in
history.
hey, hold on. He got a team in LA. He got teams all over. Don't let that man. Don't take what that man said. Let that man go, AJ. Don't worry about that.
AJ's my boy. He knows my history. But don't sit
Oh,
there acting like don't
so you
sit
know
there.
AJ.
Yeah, I know him, but don't
Oh,
sit
okay.
there. Don't sit there, Jay, and try and think that my team all they do is win championship. Hell, I haven't seen a championship with the Yankees in over 10 years.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're not
I
going to see
haven't
one for the.
seen.
Hey, watch this, and let me help you out. You're not going to see another championship for another 10 years. AJ, mark me on that. AJ, hey, put this in your calendar, AJ, because this is gonna when this comes to fruition. Because look, in 20 years, well, another 10 years, it'll be 20 years. So in 10 years from now, which would be 2034. So AJ, in 2034, I'm going to have you back on this show so we can both laugh at Frankie when he's 20 years and no damn World Series, okay?
Oh God, you're so funny. And then Jay's gonna come back here in October and November saying, "Frankie, I'm sorry. Congratulations on being World Series champions again."
Hey, you know what though? Hey, but yeah, Frankie, I think you know this about me. We're close enough. We're boys. We're family. I think you know me well enough that when it goes that direction, I do apologize. I do say you're right. I
I
don't back
know.
down. I give you your flowers, and you give me the humble pie. It's not a big deal. It's all good. Just
All
like
I'm
when we,
saying,
I mean, it happens what happens.
all I'm saying is, if the Yankees win the World Series this year, I'm creating this show. I am playing Queen that we are the champions. And while that's playing, Jay, my face will be on the camera with tears of joy. Okay? Because it's been so long since I've seen my boys hold up the World Series trophy. And I feel like we got robbed on it on 2017 by you guys. And I think you know the reason why. I'm not going to say it because that's
Yeah,
history. But I feel like, that should have been our year. Now I have to wait a little bit freaking longer. And now adding Juan Soto, who's young, who's healthy, who's dominant, who I love. I love Juan Soto. I've loved Juan Soto since he was with the Washington Nationals. I don't know why the hell that Brian Cashman and the Yankees didn't try and get him. Instead, the Padres ended up winning him. And for some odd reason, I want to say right now, Jay, I think we known each other when that happened, when he got traded to the Padres. And I
yeah,
said it. Everybody was picking teams, and I said, watch the Padres be a secret ass team to just come in and sweep away and get Juan Soto. And that's exactly what happened. And he had a
yeah.
trash
It,
ass
it
time
was.
in
It was. It
and
was.
he had a trash ass time in San Diego. And
Yeah.
Brian Cashman finally brought him to where he belongs. Because I can't
But
wait to
you
see
know
that
what
man
though? But
in
how
good
much
stride.
luster? Let me ask you this: how much luster are the Yankees losing? I feel like there used to be a time when the Yankees could just go out and grab anybody. Just hey, you over there, come over here. I got a good big contract for you. You come over here. I got you too. Come over here. And now I look at the Yankees and it's like, bro, everybody's snubbing you. And when I say now, I mean like for the last couple of years, snub. And it's like, is Brian Cashman and the Yankees are they losing their luster that people just don't want to play for the Yankees as badly as it used
No,
to be back in the day? Because back
no,
in the day, y'all used to get everybody.
no. You want to know why? It's because Brian Cashman is finally getting told by Hal that we're not going to be going out and spending so much money anymore. That's
Yep.
not what we want. We're not going to give these players money anymore because when we end up giving players money, they come to New York and they're not showing their baseball skills anymore because they're just collecting a paycheck of so much money. Like Aaron Hicks, Giancarlo Stanton, Carlos Rodon last year. The only person that is showing up by getting the money but also playing ball, Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. Those are the only two. Every
Yeah.
other time we end up getting these players on crazy max contract deals and they come to New York, their baseball skills are gone. Joey freaking Gallo, all right? Like, come on, Jay. Joey
Gallo.
freaking Gallo.
Gallo.
This man was an absolute bomb before he came to the Yankees. He come to the Yankees. He have a good half season because we got him on the trade deadline. So he had a good half season. Then the next year, the man ended up going to Mexico because he stopped playing ball in New York for some reason. I don't know why. His mindset was in Mexico, but his body was in Bronx in the New York State in Yankee Stadium. But the man don't want to play baseball, so we had to ship him away. Get the hell out of here. Aaron Hicks, same way. Get the hell out of here. I can't
Yeah.
wait for Brian Cashman to say, Giancarlo, get the hell out of here, because that's the same shit too. Hey,
Bro, every time you say the name Jerry Gallo, all I think about is freaking my cousin Vinny when they were in there, and Callow. No, I'm not Gallo. I'm Callow. Call. Well, I know that now.
like it pissed me off. So now Brian Cashman this year, Brian Cashman and Howell are like, listen, we're not gonna go out and get these people on crazy deals because when it happens, they don't show up in our stadium. They don't show up on our team. They're
Yeah.
just collecting checks. So now we're looking at people like, listen, we'll give you this much real cheap deal for 1 year or whatever, 2 years or whatever, and we'll talk about an extension at the end of it.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what they're doing with Juan Soto. We're not talking contract extension because the year already started. Why distract yourself from worrying about a contract extension when we should be worrying about winning a World Series this year? If we win a World Series, I guarantee Brian Cashman is going to give this man a crazy contract deal to stay in New York because he definitely deserves to stay in New York. But that's what happens now. It's not people that are saying, "Listen, I don't want to go to New York."
No, hold on. Backtrack. There was a time. I remember there was a time when Frankie was like, "Oh my God, I wish they'd fire Brian Cashman. I wish they'd fire Brian Cashman. I hate Brian Cashman. He's the worst son of a bitch I've ever met in my life. Let go of Brian Cashman." Are you now telling me that you're okay with having Brian Cashman?
Frankie, you're muted, I believe. There you go.
Yeah, I'm muted. I'm sorry. Yeah, I still think we should fire Brian Cashman. I don't give a shit. I think the only, and you know that. I still talk about it to this day. I think we should fire Brian Cashman. His time should be up with New York. He's literally the longest tenured general manager in baseball right now, with only like what two World Series rings. I'm sorry, sir, but I think it's time for you to go. I do like what he did. We ended up losing so many pitchers, but in addition, it worked out because we ended up getting Juan Soto and Trent Grisham. So I think it worked out in that favor. He also went out. He got Alex Verdugo, and then he who else did he get? He got a couple more plays in the track, like Birdie. He ended up trading for Birdie, the third baseman, from Miami. So I mean, like he's been making really good additions to the Patriots. I mean, to the Yankees this year.
Let me ask you a very serious question based on everything that we talked about, based on what you're even talking about even now. The question is applicable. So what do you see? If the Yankees don't win this year, if they don't win the World Series this year, all right, I'm gonna go one step further. If the Yankees don't make the playoffs, or if they're a first round exit I guess if they win the division, they'd be a second round exit, depending on where you are, right? If you're a one and done in the playoffs, or if you don't make the playoffs, what do you think about this team now, and where do they go from here?
Well, it depends on how we look at that time. I can't say that just yet. Like I said, we're a week into the baseball. I can't predict.
But you can say that though.
Listen,
you can say that because you have expectations for this team now.
Right,
Frank,
right.
You've been riding high on the horse since
right.
Astros
Listen,
series.
Jay, come October, who's going to be injured? Who's not going to be healthy? Who's just going to come off of injured list?
Jake,
That's the situation where I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at, okay, we're healthy. We have like one or two players that are out on the IL right now. DJ LeMahieu is one of them. He should be coming back really soon. He's been making baseball activities. But I'm not rushing DJ LeMahieu. You know why? Because Gleyber Torres leading off is okay. He's not great. He's okay. But we have other stars that are doing good. Oswaldo Cabrera finally showing up this year, playing really well, not just defensively but offensively as well on the plate. So we have him injured. But come October, that's going to be my question. Right now, I'm enjoying it because we're healthy. Come October, it comes to where, who's hurt, who just came out of being hurt, or who's healthy but still not fully healthy. That's going to be my scenario in October. Right now, I can predict that if we don't win a World Series, or if we're a first round exit, like you said, or second round exit, or our first game into the playoffs, if we're a first round exit, then it's going to be one of the biggest busts in Yankees history.
Well, I guess in my opinion, though, Frankie, it would depend on your matchup. Because if you would win your division, let's just say you win, we'll say you win 95 games, and you win your division, and you get a 3 seed because Houston wins 101 games or Texas wins like 104 games. You could essentially be playing a wild card team that has a better record than you. They just came from a tougher division. So I think if you go one and done, it's more so based on your matchup. Because if you get a 3 seed and you end up getting knocked out by like the Twins, well then yeah, that's a different story. But if you got a 3 seed and you had to face Texas in the first round, who has a better record than you, and then they beat you, you can't really look at that as a failure just because their division was tougher and they had 3 teams in the playoffs as opposed to your division maybe only having 1 or 2.
Like, I'm
You
gonna
let
say
him
this
out.
right now.
That guy, you let him out of way too much shit.
Listen. I'm gonna say this right now, Stat Guy. If we're the 3rd seed team and we end up having to face the Texas Rangers, we're knocking them suckers out. We are knocking them suckers out.
All right, hey, we've heard from me, we've heard from you in terms of what you expect from the Yankees at the end of this season. Stag, I would love to hear your opinion of where do you see the Yankees finishing this season? Are they going to be World Series winners? Are they going to be ALCS winners? Are they going to be ALCS knockoffs to get past the first round? Are they a wild card, win a division? Do they even make the playoffs? What is your expectation, or what do you think is going to happen for the Yankees this year?
Well, the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. That's a done given. When it comes to the division, I'm still going to give the slight nod to Baltimore, mainly because of the farm system Baltimore has as opposed to the farm system the Yankees have. You have to expect Baltimore is going to make some sort of deals at the trade deadline. And knowing that they have the #1 farm system in baseball, they have the pieces where they can pretty much go and get whoever they want to get just because their roster is very good right now. They have a lot of young talent on their roster right now. They're just missing a few pieces.
Right.
I think the Yankees can win the wild card series depending on who they face. I think the Yankees can win the divisional round. It just depends on who they get in that ALCS. If they get Houston, I don't like that matchup. But if they get Texas or if they get anybody else in the ALCS, the Yankees can win it because Houston's that one team that the Yankees typically struggle against in the postseason.
Shut the hell up, Dustin. We just swept them 2 series in a row since last year. What are you talking about?
I said the postseason, not the regular season. I said the postseason.
We're gonna sweep them again.
But as of right now, I do have the Yankees making it to the ALCS.
Oh man.
I just don't know who the Yankees are going to play in the ALCS right now, but I do think the Yankees have the talent to make it to the ALCS because adding Juan Soto to that roster was a bigger acquisition than what people are going to realize. Because playoff Juan Soto is a different animal.
Hey, let me say one more thing here. Let me say 2 things here. Number 1, we got our asses kicked by Seattle all year long, but yet they didn't make the playoffs. Number 2,
that's Seattle. They're out.
No. But Seattle, as you know, Seattle did have first place in the division there for a little bit. So let's not knock off Seattle for too far. Secondly, though, that I want to bring up is with the Yankees. Look, yes, you swept us. Congratulations. Last year, year before last, or actually not last year, but year before last, we swept you twice. No, not twice. Once, and then we got you. And then I guess what I'm saying is last year we won the series twice with you guys. So don't. I mean, you're coming in here like, yes, okay, yes, you won a series against us. You did. I'm not gonna take that. I'm not gonna minimize what you did. You beat us, no doubt about it. But it's not like you blew us out, right? It was 1-run games, 2-run games. I think that may have been one game where it was a little bit bigger lead. But it's not like you came in here and just dusted us. And you did it in our own ballpark, which I've told you before. And Frankie, you know the statistical history of the Astros. We don't win at home. We win on the road. That's where we win. We win on the road. And when I even told you before pregame, before this show even started, that I hope that the Astros get the wild card and don't get the division win, because if we get the wild card, then we're guaranteed to play on the road. And Dustin, you're a major league guy. You know, like I know, if the Astros were in the wild card last year and had all those away games in Texas, we're not talking about the Rangers versus the Arizona. We're talking about Houston versus Arizona.
I mean, look at the playoffs last year. Both World Series teams are wild card teams. Both
You know what
World
I'm
Series.
saying? So
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. So I mean, I know Frankie's feeling great right now, and Frankie, I don't blame you. I feel great too, brother. I'd be all up in my shit like twice on the rice paper because if the situation was reversed, I ain't gonna lie to you, Frankie. You're my brother from another mother, and you know you're my family. You know that, but when it comes to sports, I'm gonna kill your ass every time I get a chance. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if it had been reversed, I'd be killing your ass right now. So I don't blame you for killing me because I do the same thing to your ass. So it's okay. But at the end of the day, hold on. But at the end of the day, when we're done killing each other, we're gonna sit down at the table and we're gonna have a nice dinner.
It's not the fact, Jay, that you guys just don't play well at home. Okay, it was the fact that every single game we played you guys in
Yeah.
that series, we had to
Yeah.
come from behind.
And that's true. You did. You did. You're absolutely correct.
That shows, and not only did we have to come from behind, Jay, we came from behind in the 6 innings or later.
Oh, I understand that. That's why I feel like, okay, let's put it this way. I don't think it would happen this direction because I don't think systematically it can happen where I played you in the ALC. That wouldn't happen like that. But because we had to, I think we would play each other before we get to the ALCS. Am I right or am I wrong on that thing? Stat guy, you're better on this mathematical shit than I am.
For what?
How would that play out? I don't think there is I don't think there is a way where me and Frankie would meet each other in the ALCS. Am I right or wrong?
We've done twice before.
Yeah, because if Houston or the Yankees get the 1 seed, and if Houston and New York both get the 1 and 2 seed, they would meet the
that's
ALCS.
true. Okay, that's true. Okay, I can see that. You're right. Man, that's interesting. I tell you what, Frankie. I look. No matter what, I feel good about your team. I think you got a solid team over there in New York. But I also feel really good about my team, and I think that my team is, at least the last 2 years, has been slow starters. But once we rev up the engine, and I think we've revved up the engine, and I do expect us to do great things. So it's going to be interesting. Hey, I look forward to. Let me ask you this, Frankie. Now, I know we only play each other twice this year, right? We already played the first series, so we only played 2 series against each other, and that's it. So after May, that's it until the playoffs.
Right.
Am I right on that, or am I wrong?
You're right.
So what do you say? And I don't know, and I'm not going to say we're going to sweep this series, but we are going to New York. We are playing in our best prime spots. We will have Justin Verlander there. What would you, and I would not rule out a sweep against you. I wouldn't. I think I honestly, we go into New York, and I think we sweep you in New York. What would your thought press, or how would you feel if we went there and swept you, and then you got to meet us again in the playoffs? How are you going to feel about that? Are you going to feel confident, not so confident? How are you looking?
I feel confident.
That's good.
Because the reason I feel confident is because Garrett Cole won't be there in May. His return will be June 1st. That's his return. Garrett Cole won't be there in May, but Garrett Cole will be there in October. And Garrett Cole will have a couple games. Garrett Cole will have a couple games
in October. Right.
And he will have a couple games under his arm from June to October. So I feel confident.
I just feel like, the one thing I love about this season, this baseball season specifically, and I guess I feel pretty good about it only because the Astros, came back against Toronto. And I look at Toronto as a good team. I don't think Toronto is just a team you just walk all over. Toronto has a lot of good players on that team. Vladimir Guerrero, George Springer and company. I mean, they got a well-balanced team over there, and Frankie, I would tell you, don't tread them lightly because that team can get on the run just like anybody else can get on the run. And this is a game of streaks. Dustin, you know this with the Cubs, and you know that and all the other teams you've watched. Baseball is a game of momentum, and who has it and who doesn't have it, right?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know who. I'm not going to say that I could take out the Yankees, and I don't think that Frankie is going to come over here and say, "Oh yeah, I could beat the Astros in the ALCS," because anybody knows that it all depends on who's riding that momentum going into that series. Would you agree?
Yeah. But you also have to take in the injury consideration too.
No, Dustin. Your answer should have been, "Jay, I disagree with you," and I'm going to tell you why. You should have said, "I disagree with you," because the Phillies had your ass beat in Houston. and then you go over to Philadelphia. You get one conversation with Brantley, and all of a sudden now you become superheroes again, and you go on to win the series. So I mean that should have been your first indicator. Like, no, just because that doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It just means who gets hot. Whoever gets hot and rides that momentum streak is the ones that whoever sees the ball and makes the best contact on the ball is the one that's going to win that damn series. You agree or disagree?
Yeah, because obviously, if you have momentum, momentum is a thing, even though people don't see it. But it's like you said, if you're a team that typically plays better on the road than you do at home,
Yeah,
you're hoping to be down when you go back on the road
absolutely.
because that's when you know
Absolutely.
you play your best. Or vice versa, if you're a team that plays better at home than you do on the road, you're hoping to be tied or down when you head home because the momentum can swing just like that.
And I totally agree. And Frankie, that's what I was trying to tell you, man. Or not trying, but because it's not that I have to try, because like I know, Frankie, you're a baseball guy, and you know the Astros suck at home, but we're great on the road. We're great on the road, but we suck at home, and that's the only reason why the Rangers are World Series champions is because Houston was a wild card, and we had to have, or Houston won the division, and we had to win more games at home. And you know this is that, and I don't know what it is, Frankie. I don't know what it is, but for some damn reason, Houston has a horrible over the last 2 years or last year and a couple of months. We have played horrible at home, but we play excellent on the road. I don't know what's up with that, but that's just how it goes. But I mean, at the end of the day, I like your Yankees team. I think you've made some good additions. I think Rodon. I think the biggest thing for the Yankees is can you keep your pitching rotation healthy? You gotta keep Cole healthy, especially coming off that elbow injury, which is not easily done. You got to monitor his innings. You got to monitor his pitches. You got to monitor everything with that guy.
Right.
Rodon, that guy can come out great or he can come out not so great. So Rodon for me is kind of a 50-50 shot. You don't know which one you're going to get until you get on the mound. And then
Right.
after Rodon, then who do you have? Let me ask you this: is Frankie Montas, is he even in the equation or is he still out?
No, he's with the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh shit! So he's not even with you guys anymore.
Yeah, our rotation will be right now. Our rotation as it goes right now is Nestor Cortez at first, Carlos Rodon at second, Marcus Stroman at third, Clark Smith fourth, and Lewis Hill at fifth.
See, I think I think you have a solid 1 through 3. I think Stroman at your number 3 spot is a solid spot. I think 1 through 3. I think you guys are solid. I think at 4 and 5, you're still pretty good, but you're not solid. But that's okay. If you're an average guy at 4 and 5, and you have a good bullpen that can back you up, and you have good hitters, that can make the difference. Yes or no?
Oh yeah, definitely. But what I've seen out of Clark Smith and Lewis Hill so far is really good. And Lewis Hill is a young. He's starting. This is his rookie year. Now we called him up in spring training from AAA, and he actually got the nod for the number 5 spot.
Yeah.
So I kind of like what I've seen from him in Game 1 in Arizona. He got the win from Arizona, and Clark Schmidt got the win in Houston for Game 4. So I
Right.
like what they've done. Clark Schmidt gave up I think 2 runs or 3 runs. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was 2 runs, and Lewis Hill only gave up 1 run. So I like what I've seen from both of them. Marcus Stroman, I love him at the number 3 spot. I truly do. They tried getting Marcus Stroman at the number 1, and he turned it down. He said, "No, I want to stay at number 3. I like him sitting at number 3." Carlos
Right.
Rodon, I've liked what I've seen from Carlos Rodon so far, but it's only 2 games. The man, like I said before, the man's got to pitch about 20 something more odd games. So we'll see what he looks like Game 3. We'll see what he looks like Game 4. Because like you said before, it's a roller coaster ride in baseball. He could come out hot. The man could be 5-0 in his start, but then after that, the man could end up being 5-5. You never know. It's a roller coaster ride. The one big thing right now that I have a question mark for the Yankees, and I'm sad to say it, is nasty Nestor Cortez. He has not had 2 good solid starts. He gave up 4 runs to the Houston Astros, and then he got a loss. Well, they didn't market a loss. So I hate when they do that, but I would market a loss on Nestor Cortez just because he didn't go that starting length that he should have went. It didn't go off on him. It went off on somebody else for that loss. But I would have blamed Nestor Cortez for that loss because that man gave up some runs. That man, I'm not. He gave. I think he gave up more runs to the Diamondbacks than he did against the Houston Astros. So I'm
Yeah.
having a big question mark on Nestor Cortez, and I'm hearing him in the pregame conference and stuff. He's like, well, I got to work a little bit more on my stuff. I haven't been great, bro. You pitched in spring training, and now you have pitched 2 games in the regular season. When are you gonna find your stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
You should have already found your stuff. Aaron Boone gave you the nod to take over for Garrett Cole. Currently, right now, our ace. You are currently our ace right now as we speak because you're taking over the helm for Garrett Cole. You need to get your shit together and go back to being nasty Nestor Cortez. That's what I need.
Right.
He has not been the same, Jay, since he got hurt. I think it was last year or 2 years ago in the series against the Houston Astros. He played against you guys, I think it was 2 innings, 3 innings, and then he ended up hurting himself. He had a good solid 2-3 innings, and then he gets hurt, and then we end up losing the game.
And that really is. Let me ask you. Hold on. Put a pause on that. Hold on. Put a pause right quick because that's a big thing. What you're saying right now is a big thing about the Yankees, and that what we're talking about is injuries. And everybody knows, Frankie. Everybody knows that the Yankees have struggled more so in the bullpen with injuries than anything else. Not that you haven't had positional players injured. So my question for you is, and that's really the biggest question is, yes, you guys are on a great start. But can you maintain that momentum? Can you maintain the healthiness of your players to get you all the way there?
I think we can. Aaron Boone right now, he's doing it smart. He's not pushing these guys to 90 plus pitches to close to 100 pitches right now. He's giving them about 75, 80, sometimes 85 pitches a game. Sometimes those pitches come really early. Honestly, like I think in today's baseball world, it's more of players taking the pitches rather than just eating them up and swinging at everything. So that's what's getting the pitch counts up really high, and these pitches are not lasting longer than probably 5 innings. But come later in the season, Aaron Boone is going to have to push these guys to 90 plus pitches or close to 100 pitches, and that's where it comes in for me with Nestor Cortez. Is he's not having a first 2 good outings, and once that time comes, September, October, once that time comes, and you're over there 3 innings in, and you're already close to almost 60 pitches in 3 innings, like what the hell? What's going on?
Let me ask you one other question. Because I was looking at the ticker as the ticker went by with Melvin. Well, he said, "Let's go Yanks." I forgot Melvin.
Melvin's my boy.
Yankees fan. I was looking at your ticker, and it looks like the Red Sox are 5-2. You guys are 6-1. Frankie, let me ask you this: are you surprised at how well the Red Sox are playing, given all the players that they gave up and what I thought was going to be a rebuild a couple of years for them?
No.
So you're not surprised at how well they're playing, that they're only a half a game behind you?
No. You want to know why? Because they're starting the season off this year just like the Tampa Bay Rays started the season off last year, playing nothing but shitty teams.
Okay.
They played literally, I think they started the season off against the Oakland A's, Jay.
Well, that's true. That's true. Oh, by the way, funny thing, hey, Frankie, so the Oakland A's, well, we're on the time about the Oakland A's real quick. The Oakland A's are not going to be, so in 2025, all the way to 2027, unless that stadium gets done and completed before then, which it should be. I don't know why it's not. But between 2025 and 2027, for those 2 baseball seasons, the Yankees will be in Sacramento. Do you find that weird that the Yankees, not the Yankees, I apologize. The Oakland A's will be in Sacramento. Do you think it's weird that the A's are going to be in Sacramento for 2 years and then both are off to Las Vegas?
No, they gotta build their stadium. It takes time for them to build their stadium. It's going to take a 2-year process, but they want to get out of Oakland. They don't want to be in that stadium no more. They don't want to be in that city no more. So what else can they do? Go to Sacramento. What the hell?
But bro, hold on now. Let me ask you this. So you're going from a major league stadium to a minor league stadium, which means less seating. But however, in a comma, if the A's don't have a lot of seating to begin with, maybe that doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't. What is going to matter though, Jay, is the hits and the home runs. You're gonna want to face this Oakland/Sacramento A team because you're going from a stadium where it's about close to 400 feet for a home run to where it's gonna be about 360 feet for a home run. So I mean, you're gonna want to be like, hey, do we got a let's look at the schedule. Do we got a 4-game set over there in Sacramento? Because we're waiting for that series right there. That's gonna be an easy 4-game series right there. So I mean, it kind of sucks. It really does for the A's. But then again, it's a wait process. You gotta wait for your stadium to be built. You know, you gotta wait for all this other things to get ready. I think they should just stay in Oakland and might as well just stay in Oakland. Because that's just silly to go from a MLB stadium to a minor league stadium. That makes no sense. But that's what they do. That's what.
Hey, real quick, if you don't mind, Melvin Johnson types in, says, "What's up, fellas? Let's go Yanks." Logan, no, not Logan. Melvin, yeah, I know. Let's go Yanks, and I'm glad you're a Yankee supporter because it makes Frankie happy, and Frankie's my brother, so that makes me happy. So whatever, blah blah blah. However, in a comma. I just wanted to point that out real quick because I did want to do Frankie, if you don't mind, can I do a quick shout? Is it okay if I do a quick shout out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, if you guys haven't tracking, Truth Be Told Sports Podcast is on Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Check these guys out. Melvin Johnson and his crew are doing a really good job bringing the sports out to you guys. And just like Frankie and the Yankee show is bringing you the greatest of all baseball, these guys will bring you the greatest of all sports. And we truly like these guys. I think you're going to like these guys. I think you're going to like what they bring to you guys in sports content. So Melvin Johnson, Truth Be Told Sports Podcast on Entertainment Sports Network. What a time to be alive. Frankie, so let me ask you this, man. Back to reality for a second. You're looking at your team. You know your team, and this is a come to Jesus moment. This is what I call a come to Jesus moment, right? I've had my come to Jesus moment several times with the Astros. This is our come to Jesus moment with the Yankees. The Yankees have come up the fodder of life as one that can buy their championships. I'm sorry, it is what it is. I'm going to say what it is. The Lakers are the same way. Look, these are big market giants. The Lakers are a market giant. The Yankees are a market giant, right? They have their own damn network, so you know they're a damn market giant, right? Frankie, let me ask you this, man. And this is what I really want to get your opinion on. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on your payroll. We all know that. It doesn't matter how many star players you have on your roster. We know that too. I think the Miami Marlins, I think the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and company have shown us that you don't have to spend $300 million on a payroll to win a championship. So my question for you, Frankie, is this, and it's been my question all along. It's my philosophy and my thought process with the Astros that you build your team through your draft and you develop them in the draft and then you bring them up into fruition. The Yankees have always been kind of more of a team that builds their team through free agency and then puts it out there and let's go. They might bring up a free agent or two in the past. Now, here recently, they have been bringing up their own prospects, which is really good to see because that means the Yankees are actually growing as a franchise, not growing monetarily because monetarily they're a freaking beast, but they're growing as a franchise in terms of, hey, we don't got to spend $300 million like the Mets and the Dodgers and so forth to get a championship team. All we got to do is bring in the right guys, develop our own guys, and develop our team, and we're going to get to the playoffs. We're going to get to the World Series, and I think you're proud of seeing that in your own farm system. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I like it. I mean, I like what the Yankees have been doing so far. Um, we haven't been, going out in the draft and getting big, big name players. We get players in the draft, and we do develop them, and we develop them to a good stage where they're so good in the minor leagues that we can end up shipping them away to another team to getting that right piece that we need. Like for instance, the Juan Soto. We ended up building Johnny Brito. We ended up building Randy Vaz or what's his name? Yeah, Randy Vasquez.
Yeah.
Um, and the big one name that we added into that trade was Michael King. That's what really locked in the Juan Soto deal. So I like what the Yankees did because yes, we traded away Michael King. That was one of the biggest losses. But you need to understand, you have to take a big loss in order to gain something huge. Right? We took a big loss.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But the fun thing, the crazy look, I will tell you this, Frankie. My father always told me, Jay, just go out there and do hard work. Everything's gonna pay off. You're gonna win. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. Whatever. Okay. And I agree with my dad. I really do. Hard work pays off. Hard work always pays off. But so does intellectual property. And what I mean by that is this: like, do you feel like the Yankees have given up more of their draft capital than what they should have in terms of you know most of your players have come even now have come through free agency. You brought a couple of guys up. But even a couple of guys that you brought up from your farm system aren't even on your team anymore. Like Khalifa, I don't know. I don't know if Khalifa part of your farm system. I thought,
No.
but now I'm thinking that I think he was the guy you brought in via trade or not trade, but a free agent. He went on, right?
Yeah, we brought him in for free agency and then we traded him away.
But let me ask you this, and because this look, and I don't, and I'm only speaking from a guy who is not in the intimate um dealings that go on within your team, right? I'm an outsider, right? I'm a guy that researches on the internet to see what you're doing, blase, right? But how how do you feel about the Rangers farm system and where they or not the Rangers, the Yankees farm system and where they're going from here? Because that's really the big thing for me. I feel like you guys try so hard in free agency, but you don't try hard enough in the actual draft process. And let me ask you this: do you think because you're drafting so many free agents that it keeps you competitively high enough that you don't get those great draft prospects higher up in the draft that you could build around?
No. Um, there's some players that we got in the minor leagues right now that is honestly that is on its way. And one of the biggest names that are in the minor league right now is Spencer Jones. He's a tall dude. He's like a mini Aaron Judge, Jay. He's
Yeah.
literally a mini Aaron Judge. He had an absolute dog spring training. Like the man was insane during spring training. The reason why they didn't call him up is because he's a center fielder. Now we already have two center fielders. There's no need to have a third one. So we're gonna keep him in the minor leagues and have him still do what he does, still develop a little bit more. But the man is an absolute dog. Um, there's a couple of other ones. Lewis Hill was one of them, but we ended up bringing him up because we had the situation with Garrett Cole. We needed that fifth pitcher, and the Yankees wasn't going out and getting Blake Snell. They wasn't going out and getting Jordan Montgomery, and that goes back to the things I was talking about before. Is these players with their agent, and we all know who their agent is because there's only one agent in California that represents all these freaking pitchers. Um, he was looking for crazy money deals. I'm talking about close to $300 million for Blake Snell. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. He's talking over here almost $200 million for Jordan Montgomery. Yes, I know he just won a World Series, but the man wasn't an ace. He was like their third starting pitcher. We're not gonna waste almost $200 million on Jordan Montgomery, especially when we only need him for probably 1 year. We were just looking for that fifth thing. And I think the Yankees were smart on and calling up Lewis Hill because it's his time. He was one of our high prospects in the minor leagues. So I like I like what the Yankees are doing right now with the minor leaguers, in our farm system. I think most of them are gonna come up pretty soon. Let's not forget Anthony Volpe was down there. Oswaldo Cabrera was down there. Oswald Peraza was down there. Austin Wells was just recently. Like all these guys were recently down there, and now they're in the major leagues. And
Right.
they're changing our team for the better. Anthony Volpe last year was a Gold Glove winner in his rookie year for a shortstop. I mean, Oswaldo Cabrera having a phenomenal start to this season. So I like what they're doing. They're keeping the players that they know that are going to help us win a championship. There's been so many teams from spring training and before winter break that was trying to give us a trade, and everybody wanted Spencer Jones. The Yankees are like, no, we're not trading away Spencer Jones. This is our future Aaron Judge. Are you crazy? Like, we're not
Right.
trading away Spencer Jones. And he showed it in spring training why those teams were trying to go out and get him. And I like what they're doing. The Yankees will be like, listen, we'll give you this person. I think in the minor league we gave up one high prospect in the minor league. I forgot his name, but we traded him away. It was part of the package deal for San Diego. And
For me, Frankie, though, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but for me, what I think kind of hurt you this season in terms of the World Series bid, for me, what hurt you was the fact that you didn't secure Blake Snell. I felt like, and I still feel like you should have got him under contract. I don't know what he was asking, but you should have brought him under contract. Especially, could you imagine? Just imagine a rotation that featured Snell, Cortez, Cole, and then Stroman. Could you imagine that 4-man rotation in your starting pitching, bro? That would have been incredibly crazy.
yeah,
There's no
I
way
was
anybody
dreaming.
should beat you with that rotation. There should be, and you got Clayton Holmes as your closer. So you got maybe a couple of backups that you got to put in there to last you a couple of innings. Bro, y'all should be killing it. And the fact that you didn't get Blake Snell really kind of made me think, yeah, this Yankees team's not going anywhere. They're gonna go into the playoffs, but they're not gonna get it because they didn't make the commitment to the team where they need to go. You know what I'm saying?
We're not spending. Blake Snell and his agent was asking close to $300 million. Not exactly $300 million, but close to it. We're
Yeah,
not
I
going to
get
give.
what he's asking.
We're not going to give Blake Snell that much. Like I said, Jay, before, we end up giving these people that kind of big contract, and then what happens? What if we were to give Blake Snell? Let me ask you this: what if we were to get Blake Snell for the amount that he wanted? 260, 290, for about 3-4 years. But mind you, he's going to throw in some opt outs because that's what they do. They throw in opt outs and stuff like that. What if we were to do that, and then he comes in this year as our number one because Garrett Cole's out, or number two, doesn't matter. And the man was absolutely terrible. He was absolutely terrible. He wasn't the Cy Young winner, the 2-time Cy Young winner that we know. Or better yet, what if he comes in, plays 2-3 games, and then he gets hurt? That's
No,
what.
I understand where you're going with that. I was looking at. Let's say you gave Blake Snell $32 million a year because he is a Cy Young winner. So if you give him $32 million a year, and let's say you give him a 4-year contract. So I would have done 4 years at 128, which gives him $32 million a year, and I think that would have been perfect. And look, here's the deal. And you know this, Frankie. When you build your team through free agency more than you do in the draft, there's risks involved. In everything you do, there's always a risk. Whether it's just the risk with a free agent is higher because of the payroll than it is with a newbie rookie that you have to develop in your farm system and for so long before he even comes up. So if you're in the win now approach, you're going to take that Blake Snell money and you're going to give him $32 million, 4 years at 128. That's what I think y'all should have offered him.
Nah, I'm kind of glad that we snuck out on not getting Blake Snell.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
You really feel that way?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
I
You heard it
totally
here,
do.
folks.
Because what if and I forgot who he signed with, the San Francisco Giants, and he hasn't had a game yet. He hasn't had a
Yeah.
game yet. So wait until he comes in, and we'll see what he does that first game with the San Francisco Giants, and then we'll talk about it again. Because if he has
Oh yeah,
a terrible,
one day, trust me, me and you will definitely have another conversation about Blake Snell.
definitely, because if
I really
he,
feel like you missed. I feel like the boat was there for you guys, and you let it go.
it wasn't us, it was him. We offered him
No,
two.
it was you guys
It
because I
wasn't
feel like
us,
you should.
Jay. That was not us. We offered the man two different contracts, one bigger than the other.
What was that? But what was the average per year? What was the biggest average per year you gave him?
The biggest we gave him, he was asking for what, 32 mil? I think the biggest we gave him was, the first one was about, I think, close to 20, and then the second one we gave him was a little bit close to 30, if not exact 30.
I got it.
So
Now
I mean,
remember, this guy's coming off. Remember, he's coming off a Cy Young year,
but let me tell you this, Jay.
and it's his
You know,
second Cy Young.
And what got to me is I read the article and stuff like that. The reason he didn't take it, all right, and think about it, it always comes down to this. New York is state tax and everything. Takes so much tax.
Oh yeah, it's expensive to live in New York,
which is why he didn't sign, and he ended up staying in the West Coast.
Well, but even the West Coast is expensive. Where did he sign?
But he doesn't have to. Right? But he doesn't have to buy nothing, Jay. He's already got a house. He's only from San Diego to San Francisco.
But he has to drive too, because to go from San Diego to San Francisco, that's a little bit of a drive. That is a little bit of a drive. So he's gonna have to put a little bit of mileage in there. But
still don't have to travel far. Don't have to buy a new house.
I mean, I understand you can make it work, but that just tells me though that he is more interested in the money than he is in the actual winning of a ring, right? Because he wants to sacrifice, whatever he's paying in taxes in New York versus the taxes that he already is paying in California, which to me are about the same amount. I think it's a wash. To be honest with you, I think it's a freaking wash. I think you sell your house in California and you go buy the house or the penthouse or whatever it is in New York, and you do that route. That's just me. Interestingly enough, so it is what it is.
It's his fault. You went from a team that could have got you a World Series ring to a team that's not going to get you a World Series ring.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So winning the ring wasn't as important to him, because if it was important to him, he would have gone to the Yankees before he went to the Giants.
Exactly. Yeah. Because who's really on the Giants?
Nobody.
Exactly. I can't even name a big name player on the Giants.
Nobody's on the Giants, but that's all right. Blake Snell will go there. He'll collect his paychecks and he'll move on.
And that's what it comes down to. What I was talking about earlier is there's players out there that just care about collecting a paycheck, and the Yankees aren't doing that no more. We used to do that. We used to go out and get players with big contracts for no problem. Like, okay, you want $300 million? No problem. We'll give it to you. But they don't produce on the field. They're not bringing us championships. They're not bringing us rings.
Right.
We don't want that.
You're stuck with a dead money cap.
Exactly.
Because you got a guy who's not producing. I get it too. I understand that.
We don't want that no more. Which is why we went out and got Juan Soto, a young, hungry player who wants a ring.
And Juan Soto is a good addition to that team. I like Juan Soto. I've liked Juan Soto from the beginning. I was hoping the Houston Astros would go after Juan Soto and bring him in as a left fielder. I felt he would have been great to give
he's not a left fielder.
A break.
He's not a left fielder, though. He's a right fielder.
Yeah, it's okay.
He took the right field away from Aaron Judge and put Aaron Judge in center.
Hey, but what I'm saying is, right field, left field, he can still produce in that left field side. Okay? It's still about the same amount of trajectory. It ain't going to change his ability to catch the ball. And in all honesty, in Houston, it's a lot shorter porch. So, how much running is he really doing in Houston versus any of the other ballparks? What I'm saying? Like, right field is no bigger than left field in other ballparks. They're almost about the damn same. I mean, we're not talking drastic differences, right?
Right.
You can turn him into a left field. If push came to shove, Soto could play left field. I promise you, that boy could play left field.
Well, we're getting close. We're getting close to the final segment. Real quick on MLB updates. We got a doubleheader today with the Detroit Tigers and the New York Mets. Jay, real quick, let me remind you, the Detroit Tigers are the only undefeated team left. They're 4-0. They're 4-0. I mean, they would have had a game yesterday against the Mets, but it got postponed due to rain. They're getting a doubleheader right now. The first game is actually on the top of the eighth, and the Tigers are actually down right now. They're losing 3-2 to the Mets. Game two for the doubleheader starts at 3:10. We also got a game at 4:05 on ESPN Plus with the Washington Nationals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins actually play on 4:10. I cannot wait to laugh at my friend AJ because he's over here talking about, the Twins are going to make it to the World Series. Excuse me, sir. You're 3-2 on the year, and you're going to be against Guardians, who actually lead your division right now at 5-2. So go ahead, keep thinking. Uh, Also later on tonight, this afternoon at 4:15, you got the St. Louis Cardinals going up against the hurt, shall I say, Miami Marlins now. At 4:15, and then tonight's game at 4:4 or 7:40. Sorry, you got the 1-4 Chicago White Sox going up against the 2-4 Kansas City Royals. I don't understand why that game is actually on the late night game. Nobody should be watching that. That's terrible. But tomorrow's a big baseball day. I hope everybody tuning in is going to be huge. You got the Yankees in their home opener going up against the Toronto Blue Jays, division rival right there. Juan Soto finally gets to be seen in the pinstripe, not the Yankees away jerseys, but the pinstripe. Juan Soto is going to be debuting at Yankee Stadium tomorrow. At that game is in the afternoon at 1:05. Then we got the Detroit Tigers against the Oakland A's at home. Chicago Cubs going up against the Dodgers. It's going to be Yoshi Yamamoto on the mound for the Dodgers. So the Cubs get to go up against Yamamoto. Colorado Rockies going up against the Tampa Bay Rays tomorrow. Pittsburgh Pirates against Baltimore Orioles. The Padres versus the Giants. Mets versus Reds. Phillies versus Nationals. Diamondbacks versus Braves. That's going to be a good one. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be totally, especially because Logan, and that is a big team, that's a big team in the National League on both sides. So
Yeah, that's going to come down to playoff scenario possibly. Then you got the White Sox and the Royals. I'm going to save this game for last. You got Seattle versus Brewers, and then you got the Red Sox versus the Angels. But I'm going to save this game for last. We have a ALC championship rematch against the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers. That's actually on Apple TV. That's why that's why I saved that last, because everybody should be tuning into that one. That's an ALCS rematch right there at 8:05 on Apple TV. Houston's on the road with a 2-5 record against Texas Rangers, who are 4-2. Tomorrow is going to be a big day for baseball.
Hey, let me say real quick. When it comes to the Astros versus the Rangers, and MLB is going to put it on Apple TV, I'm only going to hold up a fist. And could you imagine what finger would come out of that fist? And that's how I feel about that.
You don't have Apple TV?
No, I don't have Apple TV.
Oh, man. That sucks. I'll definitely be watching that game.
You know what that means? That means I'll be monitoring my phone like crazy.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this special edition of Frankie the Yankee Show. Don't forget to check us out on ESPN. You got the Barbershop Crew. So much more shows that's going to be added into this network, and we're super proud, super glad that we're actually going in the right direction for this network. You can follow us on all social media platforms: X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can even find me on TikTok. I just joined Jay on TikTok not so long ago.
Hey, he can't even spell TikTok yet. Okay, but leave him
exactly. But you know what? My viewership is actually growing slowly the day. The more I post about Yankees and stuff like that, because the Yankee follows the Frankie the Yankee Show. So I'm getting a lot. I get a lot of haters and I get a lot of lovers. So I kind of like what TikTok is doing right now. So Logan was right on the TikTok part.
Of course, I told you, man. I told you TikTok's the way to go.
But you guys can follow me on TikTok at Frankie the Yankee. Go ahead and hit that like button, and I give you all your guys on Yankees updates, final scores, trades, DFAs, everything, all Yankees. Jay, is there anything you want to say to the people before we head out?
Hey, first of all, thank you for tuning in to Frankie the Yankee Show. As always, Frankie gives you a great show, and we're proud to have Frankie as a part of our admin team here at Elite Sports Entertainment Network. He does a really good job for us, and we are so proud of him and what he's doing. With that being said, hey, check us out, man. Check us out on our link tree. If you go to Facebook and you type in Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, it'll come up. Check us out, man. You're gonna see Frankie the Yankee on there. You'll see Philly the Sports Guy on there. You see a lot of people on there. Melvin and his crew and stuff, and Mark and his crew. We got a lot of good stuff coming out. So make sure you check us out Monday through Friday, or actually it's every day. We got something coming out from one of these guys. So check us out.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope to be back tomorrow before the Yankee game. Give you guys all the updates, the lineup for the Yankees, and I believe Marcus Stroman is on the mound. I know that for sure, but I'll give you guys. Okay, and I'll give you guys the lineups tomorrow. I know for a fact Juan Soto is going to be on that lineup at number 2. But yeah, tune in tomorrow, Frankie the Yankee Show. Thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and have a good day.